It is 7:09 on Wednesday night, the 12th of May, 2021. Call to order the meeting of the Ware Conservation Commission. I'm Andy, the chair of the commission, and we have with us tonight Sherry, Mark, Ray, Steve, and Mike, as well as a guest, Ralph Feldbaum. And we have an agenda that our gatekeeper and attendee tonight, I guess also our town administrator, Naomi. So we have an agenda prepared for us, much appreciated. We have minutes from last meeting, as well as a bunch of items that were sent along digitally for us to consider at tonight's meeting. As is our custom, I'll go ahead and invite our guest Ralph to present his request to us, and that way our guest does not need to hang on any longer than necessary for that bit of work. So Ralph, if you would present your request and try to guide us through the different documents that'll help explain it.
Okay, so this is all new to me too, so you're gonna have to bear with me.
Absolutely.
So just some background. I'm representing the Ware Winter Wanderers Snowmobile Club. We have had a trail for a number of years. I'm not sure exactly how long, probably at least 15 years, through Luke Drake's land. And we have lost that trail. He does not want anybody on his land anymore. So for whatever reasons, we need to find a reroute. Basically, without a reroute from that point, we lose about a third of our trail system. So right now, the most immediate pressing thing is for us to get onto the society land. I have met with, talked with both Matt Scatia, and now I'm dealing with Wendy Weisiger, who is the managing forester for the society. She has given us permission to get through the society onto Meadows End, and I also have permission from Jeremy Turner on Meadows End. So that'll get us back to our trail where we've had to abandon all. From Luke Drake's and through the Baxter piece on the society. So what we are asking for is we are asking to use an existing right-of-way alongside, it's on a town piece that was given, I guess it was given to the town as part of the Duck Pond development. And that is 62.62 on the tax, on this tax map that I'm looking at. I'm not sure what the other numbers are. In any case, there is an existing right-of-way on there. I believe that right-of-way belongs to the society. It's an existing road. We are already currently on part of that right-of-way and have been for, like I said, a number of years, probably before it was a town piece. So I'm not sure exactly what you want me to do from here, question-wise, or what do you need from me now?
Do you have a plan or a drawing or something that you could share with us showing
I did,
the location?
And I sent that out, and I think it only went to Stephen, and I thought Stephen said that he forwarded it. I'm not sure. Or did Mark? Somebody else got it?
I haven't gotten it.
I tried sending it twice, and it keeps getting kicked back to me from, actually, I think, Andrew, yours is one address that got kicked back to me, and the other one was Mark Phillips. It just won't send. I can't send it.
Yeah, I saw the comment, went looking for it, didn't see the attachment. Has anybody on the commission seen the attachment, Steve?
Yeah,
I have it. I got it directly from Ralph. I don't know how to send it to you though.
just forward the email.
Yeah, I couldn't
Okay.
do that. It just wouldn't go to anybody. I tried
Uh,
to send it to the Conservation Commission, which should have went to seven people.
Right.
I can,
Should I send it to who?
I've got it. I mean, I think you might have to use the individual email addresses if it's not working the other way. Because it was weird the way it came to me. When I emailed Ralph back, I let him know that I thought it just came to me, but I did not forward that. I thought maybe you'd send it, or maybe it went to everybody.
I tried sending it individually to Mark because I had his email address, and I'm not sure, I don't know. I don't remember sending it to Ray, so I don't know how you got it.
Was there a way we
Well,
can share a screen or forward it or hold up something to the camera so we get at least a
I
glimpse
am
at?
not technologically
Yeah.
savvy. I can hold this up. I don't know if this is, you're gonna be able to see this.
Andy, I just forwarded it to you. Do you have a different computer that would have it?
Well, I should be able to get it in my email, so let me take a look. Yeah, I see the email from you, Ray, so. And I have an image that's come through on that, so we're getting there. All right, that seemed to do it. So it looks like, Ralph, you're talking about sort of clipping the edge of that lot. We'll call it 62-62 or 62.62. Is that correct?
Yes,
And that's, you say, is on a existing
there is an existing road.
road bed.
The society, I believe in talking with Wendy Weisiger, she told me that they have a right of way on that piece going back to 1985. They have a weight limit on it. Not sure what that weight limit is. But yes, there's an existing road there. We wouldn't be asking to take any trees, wouldn't be asking to disturb the earth at all. We would just be asking to use it.
Now, what happens with the trail that extends across?
In the future, I am going to ask, and probably either late this year, I don't need it this year, either late this year or next year, early next year, I'm going to be asking to come across now where Duck Pond is. There's lot 62.63. I will be asking to come across that. And I have a verbal agreement right now with lot 63. That is Dino and Kirsten Rossi. I have a verbal agreement to connect those two town pieces with a just a straightforward straight trail right on the back of his property line, abutting the duck. I think there's three, looks like three, almost four lots there.
So the idea would be to move that one north.
Eventually, I'm going to need to when they start getting in there. I'm told right now that they definitely won't be there this year and probably not next year. But I would like to get that ball rolling soon. This one here, we ended up losing the trail, that pink trail where it leaves the red and it goes across David Breed Brook. It's that's Luke Drake's land, and we lost that
What's
trail.
a lot number on that, Ralph?
on,
Yeah,
looks like six,
the large one.
yes, that large pond.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we lost that late last year, just before the snowmobile season. And then Mr. Drake graciously let us use it for the rest of that snowmobile season. And then he wants us off. He had an incident with a hunter over there last year, and I think he's fed up with everything, and he doesn't want anybody on his land at all. So because we can't get onto the Baxter piece either. So I have to get over to the Meadows End piece where the 107 is on, that's a log landing, that round spot. I have to get to that spot. I have, like I said, I have permission from Jeremy Turner. Originally, I was going to start up a little higher on that, on Mount Wallingford. But Wendy Weisiger from the society wants me to stay lower, just because of she's worried about noise levels for the people on Maplewald. So we're going to stay lower and keep that, use the mountain as a buffer for volume.
No, I see that the black
The black line is my proposed trail.
proposed, yeah.
It's just kind of straight. We're going to be meandering through. Once we get onto Society piece, there's a large cutting that parallels the walking trail up to Mount Wallingford. We will be in that cutting there until we get through a break in the stone wall on Meadows End Forest on that lot 6.
Can we share the map?
What's that?
Can we share the map, Andy? I mean, this discussion isn't that fruitful without being able to see the map, honestly. You could just share it.
Well,
Or I can
let's
do-
see.
Ralph, what's the red outline there, the red?
That I just shaded in. That's the town piece that was deeded to the town from Duck Pond Estates.
Okay.
Steve, to accomplish that, Naomi's the only one who can do it with current settings unless she enables me to do that.
Or maybe she could share it. Someone needs to share the map.
Oh, yours,
Steve,
Andy, try it.
can I send
Okay.
it to you directly? Like I did?
For anybody watching as well. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to get it. We're just kind of looking at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want me to run through that again?
I get it, but I mean, for the
Yeah.
benefit of others,
Do you want me to run through that again?
it's up to you, Andy.
Well, I'll try to summarize it, Ralph, and you fill in where we need to adjust.
Sure.
The Winter Wanderers are requesting permission to use an existing roadbed for part of their rerouting of a snowmobile trail. That's on the, shown in black on the red parcel, which is, we'll call it 62-62, which is open space land owned by the town of Ware, managed by the Conservation Commission, associated with the Duck Pond subdivision. And then to the south of that lot, highlighted in red, is an extension of trail onto properties of other parties, including Society for Protection New Hampshire Forest and MTL, and potentially others. I'm not 100% certain on that, but the specific request now is would the Conservation Commission assent to the Ware Winter Wanderers rerouting onto the west side of that lot 6262 using existing woods road bed.
Yes, it
Is that the gist of it,
The
Ralph?
purple line heading to the east, I guess, of that black line, that is already conservation, an easement for the, that right of way, I'm sorry, for the, I believe it's for the society. That's part of that easement. So we are already on, as far as that town piece goes, that right of way for the society. And then we want to take It's basically a 90-degree turn and use that road
Oh, good,
to get
good,
onto. Supply.
correct, right. The existing or prior use trail already crossed at 62, east, west, west, east, and now looking to dogleg it to the south.
Yes, correct.
Any thoughts from the commission on this one?
It's
No,
just-
so where are you going in? Just below 90? On Duck Pond Road? Is that where you're going in, where the old ski tow was?
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
I'm just curious where you're going in, where you're gonna park your vehicles to get off the road here.
Well,
If you
we
go-
don't park any vehicles. There's no parking there. This is just a snowmobile trail. We cross 114.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's
Yeah,
just a snowmobile trail. It's just a redirect on the snowmobile.
yeah,
trail.
okay. I see it.
There wouldn't be
Yeah,
any
it's-
parking
it-
or-
It's just a property traverse, not
Right.
asking for amenities or road access or anything like that.
That's correct.
Yeah, right. And how many miles is that loop?
What, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm thinking it's approximately 2 miles, the total reroute.
Right, yeah,
And that's the trail that takes us out to Hillsborough and Deering.
Yes, without
Very
that,
important
we
trail.
will not connect to the Deering Club, while the Hillsborough Club in Deering or the Hennecker Club in Hennecker
Or Lake Horace.
or we don't get to Lake Horace or to Deering Reservoir. We
Well-
basically, without this, we lose a third of our trail system.
oh, wow.
Can I make a couple comments? Not so much questions, but just kind of ideas, I think, in general.
Please do, Steve.
Okay, so I had a little bit of time to review the plan that Naomi sent out and actually been kind of working on this map of the whole town, and that's been included. So, and Andy and I were actually on the Conservation Commission when this whole thing happened, so got a little bit of insight. The deed itself does make provision for a snowmobile trail, so that's good news. I don't think anyone has any recourse to kind of fight that going in there. So I think that's cool. I'm a little concerned, just, I'd like to see personally the Snowmobile Club get an easement or a license or a contract, something that's kind of, fairly permanent. From my review of the actual subdivision, the approved subdivision, there's reference to 2 different easements on this piece. And I think what we've got to do one way or the other, and I don't really know who pays for this, is to have someone who knows what they're doing and eventually, some kind of legal document drawn up, but to make sure that we can grant, some kind of semi-permanent use or permanent use. Because essentially you're sort of putting an easement on top of an easement. So if the Forest Society, like, we're game to allow that or something, that's what I really like to see us consider. Just not sure who would pay to deal with those legal costs. And then I guess my only other concern, and just not, I think Ralph maybe mentioned some of the pins may actually be out there, but as you know, the subdivision has not been monumented. So, it sounds like we're in okay shape if we're on this existing right of way only, which is kind of good news. But again, that's something I think council should probably weigh in on.
Yeah, that, Steve, certainly seems like it would be kind of lining the ducks up if we could get that confirmed. So the question for legal assistance would be, can we formalize an agreement with an easement on top of an existing easement on lot 62.
Yeah,
Correct.
or in the, of being able to do that, something like a license or a contract that kind of spells out the terms of use and authorization.
Who would we be doing with that with the society?
No, with us, with the town, with the Conservation Commission and the Board of Selectmen, just so that way it's permanent, you never have to go back and deal with it again.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, this is all new to me, so I need to explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because I am.
Yeah, I wish we were in person. This is tough on Zoom.
Hey, Steve, I read the deed there. It says no motorized vehicles except snowmobiles.
Yeah, they're good to go.
So why do we need an easement and why would we have to come back again? If the commission grants permission?
Okay, so you have to go back, even though it says no motorized vehicles, that wasn't really true. Because you have to go back to the survey. If you look on the subdivision plan, it's going to give you book and page for 2 easements that actually do allow motor vehicles. And that's the one Ralph mentioned was to the forest. I think it benefited the lot to the Forest Society possibly, but someone needs to look at those 2 easements that knows what they're doing.
Mhm.
So motor vehicles are actually authorized in those easements, and those were there prior to the conveyance of the deed to the town. So they survive, they're permanent. And then what we're doing is we're putting another use on top of that other easement. So we just need to make sure that we can actually either grant that as an easement or just do it as a permission or a license or some other kind of agreement, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I guess, my goal is so that the Snowmobile Club never has to worry about it again once it's in place, that it's kind of permanent. So like with all these houses in there, some of them might get wound up about sleds going through there. And I think that if you can give it to the Snowmobile Club now, they'll never have the option to stop it,
Yep.
So Steve, is that something by book and page and plan I could send to Laura with your questions?
Yeah, this is just my suggestion. So the Conservation Commission needs to decide, because my goal here is to help the Snowmobile Club never have to go through this. But, the question that you really have to review the rights essentially in the easements that exist. Explain to her that the goal is to give the Snowmobile Club the use of the property for this reroute of the trail, and to ideally make it permanent through some mechanism, or at the very least, show that the Conservation Commission and the Board of Selectmen were on board with a very long-term agreement, if it can't be an easement. Because I think what we're doing here is trying to put an easement on top of an easement, ideally. And, maybe I'm not sure who the benefactors are. There's 2 easements on that plat. There's not just one, there's 2 of them on there. So you'd need to study those easements. If you could come to an agreement with the benefactors of those easements, I think it's legally complex, but I'd really like to see the Snowmobile Club get this permanently, and not have to mess with it.
I'm not a legal guy or scholar, but you said that those 2 easements were in place before the town owned the property, and so obviously they have to be respected and as a matter of law.
Yep.
But why couldn't the town just issue an easement, because they are now the owners? Why couldn't the town just issue an easement to the club without going through all this other, because the town owns the property?
No, that's part of what we'd be asking Laura.
I
Laura's
think,
the.
Ralph, I think it's because we want to make sure that the abutters on the new subdivision will never have an easy legal way to stop it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't understand why the existing easements need to be researched It sounds like two different groups have a right to get to where they need to go on that easement, that 30-foot right of way. Because they already have their easement or their right of way, they're all set. The town now owns the property. Why can't the town just issue a third easement without researching and getting into all of the particulars of these other two entities? That's,
I think, Ralph, the point is there, we don't want there to be set up a potential conflict in the future where the prior existing easements are used to invalidate the one that came later.
okay,
You know, if we didn't dot the i's and cross the t's, could there be something there that that might throw a wrench in the works 5, 10, 20, 100 years down the road?
okay.
Yeah, Ralph, ideally, if that's not gonna work out because of the, the easements on top of each other, we could essentially move the club over 30 feet and create an easement as well. So there's things, there's things we can explore.
Yeah, I don't know that that'll work because it's so narrow where we need to come up in the future. I don't know that it's that wide.
Okay.
Yeah, but now's the time for the town to do the due diligence, to ask the question of our legal counsel and hopefully hear back that, there's nothing evident here that would restrict us so that we can go ahead.
Okay,
If the, if the commission wants me to, I can take a stab at just kind of drafting up something for Naomi to send to Laura. And I think I would just ask that if we do that we just have a vote of general consensus with the request by the Snowmobile Club, and then we'll just explore how we do it legally.
That sounds like a motion. Could it be interpreted that way, Steve?
Yeah, sure.
Second.
We have a second on that motion.
I'll
the
second.
motion.
Somebody shout a name.
Mark,
Okay. We've got a motion, we've got it seconded. Any thoughts? Any more from Sherry or from Mike on this one?
No, I think that we've got to do something to make it permanent for them. I mean, they're going to lose a third of the trails if you don't. And, I think it's got to be straightened out so they don't have to worry about it.
Right?
Yep, agreed. Just get the legal counsel on it, make sure everything's good to go.
Any other thoughts from the commission side? There being none, I will call the vote. Andy says yes. Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes,
Ray,
Yes,
Steve,
Yes.
Mark.
yes.
All right, that sounds like all in favor. So Steve, thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, you're welcome.
So we are in support of the request and we are seeking confirmation that we can move ahead, and Steve will write up some language to that point to share with Naomi, who will forward to Laura. We're just doing our due diligence. Thank you, Ralph. Anything further for us?
no, do you need me to do anything else or the club to do anything else in the meantime, or?
I don't think so. I think our goal will be to hopefully have a response by next meeting.
Oh, great. Okay, and then just for the future, like I said, either late this year or sometime next year, I'd like to talk about using both those pieces, 6.2, 6.3, and 6262, the one that we're currently on. Do you need me to do anything a little bit better to prepare for that?
No, just work with us. You've been responsive. You've handled questions and tried to provide, you know, depictions of what the intent is. Anything you can do to, just make a clear picture of the request is helpful.
Okay, hopefully we'll be meeting in person next time I get to see you.
And Ralph, do you have a position within the Where Winter Wanderers?
Yes, I am the trail master for the club.
Excellent.
I'm told it's a
Excellent.
5-year position.
Did you just started?
Just started.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hey, Andy, can I just bring something up quick? If they're
Related?
Yeah, if they're talking about moving that trail over 30 feet or some amount, shouldn't that be taken care of before we go through and get an easement in the wrong
Uh,
spot?
The first option to clear is that we don't have to do that. It makes sense to have the movement occur in something that's already been essentially cleared for that or designated for that purpose. So as
Yeah.
long as the movements of the various pieces aren't in conflict, it seems like, keep it all in the same corridor.
Okay, because I thought Ralph said something about moving the trail.
A
no.
different section, that's
Okay.
that's when the Duck Pond subdivision phase 2 or whatever the
Okay,
later phases are built
Okay, I
out.
just
and-
wanted to make sure we didn't miss it, that's all.
Right.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, on behalf of the club, I want to thank you for your time and appreciate your efforts to help us out.
Glad we could help.
Yeah, so do I wait for somebody to email me or call me or whatever for the next meeting, or do I even need to be?
If you haven't heard from us by the second Wednesday in June, then absolutely ping us and ask what's going on, but it'll probably take a week or two to work through our questions and get them answered.
Okay, very good. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
All right, Ralph, take care.
Good night.
Good night. Great, that's we've been able to tackle one of the pieces of the puzzle tonight. I'd like to jump over to approving the minutes of the April meeting. Do we have a motion on that?
Make a motion.
I'll
Do we have a
second it.
Second.
I'll second it.
We got a motion from Steve, second from Sherry. Anybody find something that needs to be sharpened up on them?
I did not.
They looked good to me.
Yeah,
All right, with no further comment, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
I
Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, we've got all in favor. Motion to approve minutes of April 2021 goes and passes. All right, now I need to try to jump back over to the agenda. Hold on just a second, see if I can get to the right place. All right. We've got top item addressed on the agenda. We've got not necessarily meaning to be under appointments, but we've handled Ralph's requests. So Steve, was there anything that we wanted to deal with tonight for our forestry? I know we're not expecting Jeremy. He was aware of the meeting. But are there some items that on the forestry side of things we ought to address?
Yeah, we are expecting Jeremy at about 8 o'clock to,
Oh, okay. All right,
just-
so we can jump over that then.
yeah, he's gonna join us to discuss awarding the Poor Farm
Oh, good.
survey. And then, I guess, yeah, I mean, Naomi's on, so I think we're meeting the town's purchasing policy. I've actually got to go grab my charger cable here. My computer's still like
No
doing
problem.
it's, and then we've got some things we need to go non-public for at some point.
Correct. So we'll hold those and I'll go on while you get
Sure.
your power sorted out. The planning or zoning items. We have a 3-lot subdivision to look at for Alfred Lauder. 238 Quaker Street and John Connor Road, tax map 405, lot 1. Application is to subdivide 405-1 into 3 lots, 6.15 acres, staying with the existing home and putting in 2 large lots without existing homes on them, one of 11.52 acres and one of 10 acres. So let's see if we can find that document that Naomi sent along so we can take a look at the plans on the subdivision. I guess the other thing we can do is I can try to share the screen again.
Yeah, Andy, I didn't get any of those emails.
Okay, I don't know. I hope it wasn't the case of me not forwarding them again, but Naomi, would you please note that for next time that we didn't get through to Mark on those?
Yeah, I get it bounced back. I don't know why. So I forwarded it from Bill's to get him the Zoom link, and that seemed to
Okay.
work.
I'll give you another email, Naomi, send it to my Gmail account. For some reason, the Granite State account here has issues.
Okay. All right. You don't have to say it on the air. You can just send it to me. You can text it to me.
I'll do that.
Okay.
All right, anybody else? Well, let me, I'll go ahead and try to jump back to the camera and do a screen share again. Folks seeing that?
Yep.
Yep.
Some reason I'm a little bit locked up on it, but maybe we can see enough here. Seeing the 1.2, lot 1.2 and the lot 1.1. Anybody see where the existing residence is?
It's down at the very bottom near Quaker Street.
Oh, there we go. Somehow I got there now. Okay. So it looks like the frontage for the other two lots. Now I can move again, okay. Goes on to John Connor Road.
Yeah,
And to get onto lot 1.1, apparently unless there's something pretty close to a common driveway, you have a wetland crossing.
right.
Is that how others are reading it?
Yeah,
There might be just enough room to squeeze by between the two lots on the lot line. Because the scale of the plan is very small, so it appears small, but it
Yeah.
almost looks like there's room to come in there without intrusion onto any wetlands for a driveway.
Yeah, it looks like, what, 30 feet, 31 feet? Between those two.
Yeah, it says 30.92 feet between the two dots, and that's in between wetlands, so that'd be enough to put a driveway
Yeah.
in.
yeah, but that's a dirt road. John Connor's a dirt road. You gotta have a 10-acre lot, right? Those two are 10. Oh, so the other lot that they're talking about, 6.6 acres, I don't think they can do that.
Well, the other one has frontage.
The original lot that they're subdividing off of has frontage on Quaker Street. The two
On
new
Quaker,
lots are
yeah.
gonna have frontage on John Connor.
You see that, Sherry?
Well, I can't, I think the scale here, I'm just trying to see. Oh, I see where it is. Yeah. Yeah, which would mean they would have to come in off Quaker Street.
No, Sherry, what's going on there is, you'll see on above that, the note for tax map 405/1, 6.5 acres.
Yeah,
The line is right there for the rural agricultural versus residential. So that's why they're going to do that.
I thought that if you were on a dirt road, it had to be a 10-acre parcel. I thought they passed that.
Yeah, it will be. The new lots being created that will have the frontage on John Connor, one will be 10 and one will be 11.52 according to plan.
Yeah, and the reason they get to have that small lot is because Quaker is paved and it's in the
Paved, okay. Yeah, I see it now.
but it's in
The-
residential zoning as
I
well.
couldn't see the whole map. Half the bottom of the map is cut off on mine. I
Yeah,
can
I'm
see it
not sure.
now.
I'm not sure who's looking at the screen share and who has it on their own device.
I have it on my big computer so I can see everything.
Oh, good for you, Ray. You got the advantage there.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's just see. Plan was prepared by Art. The buffer is called out. The building setback from wetlands called out. Let's see, anybody find who, there's probably a note here for who delineated wetlands, or a bunch of them shown.
Unless I'm reading it wrong, I think the black dot areas are the buffer to wetlands. From what I can read here.
Yeah, the gray hatch. I was just looking for a statement about who did the delineation. Usually you can find it here. Have you seen that, Steve?
There isn't a stamp, but down on the bottom left, there's a statement. Eventually gets to delineation was performed by Thomas Carr of Meridian.
Okay, so the stamp's missing then.
Andy, if you keep going up a little bit, you can read it.
A little bit further up. Okay.
Just go a little up.
Come on, cursor, where'd you go? There you are. Oh, there we
See,
go, yeah.
right there, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so then, we just comment to the planning board that we'd like to encourage them to require the wetland stamp on the plan. Anybody have anything else for that one?
Yep.
All right, got that one on my to-do list. Ready to move on? Now we have the lot line adjustment. Merrill Shepherd, Timothy Farmer, Revocable Trust, and Kurt and Deborah McCarrion, Misty Lane and Waterman Road. Tax map 101, lot 128, 10160, and 401, lot 1. Application is to eliminate tax map 101-128 by annexing 3.16 acres to 101, lot 60, and 1.5 acres to 401, lot 1, map 401, lot 1. I don't think we've had a lot eliminating lot line adjustment come before us before. It's a little bit different.
So Andy, what would be the negative effects of this?
Well, Mark had a quick look without any depth to a study. I don't know of one. I mean, sometimes I guess you could conceive of a case where somebody might want to eliminate a lot, thus making a new lot large enough to then subdivide. And it could be a stepped approach to a subdivision, or, you know, it's sort of the case where the purpose tells you what's being done, but doesn't delve into the why it's being done. So I'm not sure. And oftentimes we don't have much comment to lot line adjustments. Anybody see anything of note on it?
No,
You back with us, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't see any problem. And we got, I think Jeremy's joining in here.
Good. And
I'm here,
I
folks.
will. I will pass along a no comment on this one, the Shepherd one. All right, with that, at 8:01, I would like to ask our contract town forester, Jeremy Turner, to take front and center and let us know how we can move things along and help with our forestry arrangements tonight.
Okay, can you hear me?
can hear you now.
Sound good?
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for your patience. Long day. So I believe we're convening here to discuss the Poor Farm survey,
Yeah.
RFPs. I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I think that's the purpose of my attendance tonight. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you got it, Jer. So, yeah, I think just for the public benefit that we can run through that we're following the town's purchasing policy, put it out for public notice, and you received, I think, 2 proposals. And the goal would be to have you go through the 2 proposals that we received back and have the commission, with Naomi's guidance, go ahead and award the the successful contract and authorize that move forward.
Sure. So, yeah, so working remotely, I'm still waiting for the downloading of the proposals, but I can go over them from my my memory and my opinion of what I recall. It seems pretty straightforward. We received 2 proposals. One from NEFCO, and that's New England Forestry Foundation's forestry consultants. And they, from my understanding, have all the Attridge, Milton Attridge survey historical records, which would involve the abutting neighbor, Steve, help me out with his last name, Steve.
Cagliano or something like that.
Cagliano, yes, yep, that's right. And the other proposal was from Ron Klamarzik with Foreco. So both of those groups are licensed foresters in the region, and they're also licensed foresters. So it's actually a pretty appropriate in my view, opportunity to engage, forester and a licensed surveyor. So that being said, both proposals suggested that the town's record of Bob Todd's Four Farm survey, which is not recorded, from their institutional knowledge and opinion, they felt that appeared to be very promising from the town standpoint to provide evidence, legal evidence that property as blazed and painted, maintained, and exercised of boundaries over the past several decades is accurate. And they both go into a dialogue explaining that because of that, it appeared that there wouldn't likely need to be field work done. However, that's not an absolute. The NEFCO proposal was pretty tight in terms of containing a cost, which from my recollection, I believe it was four to five. I don't have it in front of me, but it was 4 to 6, I think, to produce the required argument and evidence through research to justify Bob Todd's survey we have, and suggesting there wasn't going to be needed field work and surveying. And then there was Forico, Ron Klamarczyk's, which was very vague. He also narrated a pretty promising suggestion that there wouldn't probably need to be any survey work, but there could be. He works very, very inexpensively per hour. However, he did say it would not, it would not exceed a very high number, and I think that was up around 19 grand. So it was interesting. It was interesting in that he works very cheap by the hour, suggesting it wouldn't take a lot of time, but at the same to the same point, it was very vague in that it left it open-ended for possibly a very expensive endeavor. So we can.
That around, Jim.
Excuse me?
I just sent that around to everybody. I didn't realize we didn't get it out, but both proposals are in everybody's email right now.
Okay. So I'll just wrap up. So what we have are two proposals, both very qualified and appropriate parties. They're both suggesting a very similar arrangement that it looks pretty reasonable to expect that the oh, this is great. Wow. That what we have for boundaries is good and legally correct. They're gonna have to do deed research and verify that opinion. Klamarczyk's very cheap. You can see it's $50 an hour, plus the cost of deeds and maps. And in the worst case scenario, wouldn't exceed 19.5. I would think, this is just my hunch, if we did decide to engage Klamarczyk, it would be with a clear understanding that, we're not giving a green light to just go, open-ended to 19.5. Then on the other hand, the other proposal is pretty tight in terms of, if we do move forward, we've got a fixed cost of $4 to $6 grand roughly. So that's kind of I guess the summary of what I understand, the main points of our deliberation. These guys, you can see they're twice per hour, 110 plus per hour.
And they, they raise a point on the previous one. There are a lot of unknowns. While Jeremy indicates both are trying to characterize it as a pretty good bet that the majority of the unknowns won't need to be exercised. And the majority of the cost drivers, might not come online.
So I
So
think,
you're-
yeah. So I think it's a function of, deconstructing Klamarzics or Foricos a little bit, and if it's reasonable to think we can go back to him and say, look, if it's by the hour, let's try to, get a written report of the facts, and if there's any survey steps needed at that point, we'll have to regroup. Or we just go with NEFCO and just lay out that fixed 5K or whatever it is, and they do the written report, and then we can regroup with them if it seems like that's not going to work, I guess is what I'm looking at here. What do you guys think?
Well, I've got a question to kick over to Steve. And maybe it's just more of a confirmation. So essentially what we're trying to do here is establish a well-founded position with the assistance of this surveying forester. And then essentially with that, we would approach a butter and then try to, make the statement, thanks for raising the current concern. We don't think it's legitimate, or do we sort of have a negotiation at that point, or did we even have a plan to, or a thought of essentially beforehand trying to get to an agreement with the abutter saying, well, we will respect the result of this research project and report. Any thoughts on that, Steve, where this takes us?
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal here is to first confirm Bob Todd's work so that we feel like we have a firm legal foundation, should it go to litigation. Ideally, as Forco mentions here, you'd like to pursue a boundary line agreement with the neighbor, recognizing that may never actually happen. So, at that point, you've got essentially, you got to figure out, at the end of this process, is there something, do we essentially record a competing survey if necessary, if we end up getting that far along? Or do we, in the absence of a boundary line agreement, someone would have to do something to cause litigation to push that further. So I think what you would do is come back, if you go with Forco, do I have that right? Dennis McKinney's company there. If you go with them, I mean, you're going to have more or less an opinion built on their analysis. If you go with Ron Klamarzik, he's got built into that the possibility of a full-blown survey, and that would result essentially in a plat that would get registered. So it's, we're kind of skipping ahead to sort of worst case scenario in Ron's proposal, whereas Forco is not telling you that. And then, the other part of this is obviously legal counsel, which will review this either way. But I mean, if a licensed surveyor does a full-blown survey and they record it, then if it ever does go to court, they get dragged into it in our counsel. So it's kind of, I could go either way. I mean, essentially, I guess initially thinking about this, I kind of like the McKinney's company's proposal, but yeah, I mean, if we went with Ron Klamarzik, I mean, we just probably would need to go back and ask him to do like a task 1, task 2 kind of a update to his proposal. And then Naomi would need to chime in to see what we are actually authorized to do under the purchasing policy. If we could just consider the hourly rate, negotiate from there if that's adequate, or if we're kind of stuck with accepting one or the other as written.
So Steve, we put them out to bid because typically the cost is, $5,000. So you've done your due diligence at that point. I think you could go back now that the numbers are out. It's not fair to put it back out, but if you go back to one of them in a plan 1, plan 2, and see if he can offer you maybe a cost of plan 1, plan 2, and you could honestly then take a look at it once you fine-tuned it a little bit and see if that's truly what you want to do. Did he put his money into surveying? Or, I guess I'd like to, in your part, I like how the New England Forestry put the breakdown a little bit, that what they're going to do for plan 1 and what they're going to do if needed for plan 2. Why couldn't you turn around and ask Forco what his estimate would be to do the written report of facts, findings, conclusion, and see if you've got apples to apples at that point, Steve?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. So do we, if Jeremy can go back and do that, do we want to move the awards to the next meeting then?
Yeah, I don't, you've kind of summed up the price. But I think if you ask him, his price isn't going to change, his hourly rate's not going to change. But if Jeremy could just ask him to break it down to the plan and deed research, how much of the not to exceed 19.5 is in the first part and how much is in the next part.
All right.
I think that's a fair way of asking, and then hold your award till your second week in June. I don't think it really matters. I think you are going to struggle with a boundary line agreement from the email exchange we had, and not even the help in sharing the cost. You guys could see the writing on the wall there, but I think, Jeremy, if you went back and just asked, what would part 1 and part 2 broken out to be? I mean, if he had shared how many hours, if New England Forestry gave us how many hours, we could do our own math, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of questions I have, if I may. With that idea, Naomi, with Forico if I go back and Ron explains that, soup to nuts, that written opinion and proposal and research and letter of facts is, is under NEFCO. Could we, approve that now and move forward, or if it's over, drop that one and move on to NEFCO? That's my first question. My next question is, with NEFCO, they're sort of doing the inverse of what Ron did. If they have to do a full-blown survey, they're an hourly rate of $110. So hypothetically, if that were to take, X amount of man days, they could easily be way over 20 grand for surveying the lot. So it's almost like, do we just focus on the worst case scenario and knowing that we got to survey it and it's 19.5, and if Foreco can do plan, that subset of written facts and research for what NEFCO suggests, then we contain that whole thing. Or do we, move both of them forward with the same questions, but on the different parts? Does that make sense to everybody?
That was the point I was going to make. There isn't a cost would not exceed on the NEFCO plan there,
Right.
the NEFCO plan. So, worst case scenario, that may cost well over 20 grand, as you said. So that was the point I was going to bring up.
Well, why don't we go back to both for clarification? We could ask NEFCO what they see their worst case scenario for the full-blown survey and plat, and if we can ask Ron to clarify how much of that is for research, and if he, if you felt it was necessary that they were gonna have to do the full survey no matter what. Ideally, I think for the town going into the, considering we may have a, more than likely an inability to reach a boundary line agreement, we probably should be thinking about having a registered plat. And so maybe that we could go seek clarification to both contractors and then act on it next meeting, so that give us a step 1 for your research and a step 2 for your survey with a recorded plat.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
I think that's a good point. We until we're ready to award, I think it's probably a good bet to have very similar, if not mirror, correspondence to both we'll call them cooperating entities, out of respect, and be clear between ourselves that we're not trying to prejudice a decision until we have similarly presented information to compare.
Agreed.
Yeah, based on the numbers, the 19.5, if you took $5,000, leaving you 14.5 and divided by $110 an hour, that's about 130 hours based on the New England Forestry one.
Mhm.
I don't know what 130 hours of surveying gets you, but it's my understanding, wouldn't we only be doing the line between the two of us? We're not doing the entire parcel for us, is it?
Naomi, ideally, if we're gonna get out there and survey any of the poor farm, we don't have a survey on it at all. It's all,
Okay.
well,
We don't have anything recorded.
yeah, so it's prudent just to pick the whole thing up.
Okay. No, I
You know,
just
so-
was trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
economy of scale kind of thing at that point.
We can't use Bob Todd's survey that he did?
I don't think we can record it. That's a good question, but I don't think so.
Okay.
It wouldn't be.
I'm-
Go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry. I think in part of my follow-up inquiry to both outfits, I think I would question them on that Sherry just brought up. Just, if they're finding Bob's Todd research and on the ground map highly accurate of facts, then is that something that they could, fall back on and record? I don't know that answer, but it would be good to clarify that.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, just for everybody's knowledge on this, because of the dollar amount, we are going to be well in excess of anything on the warrant article to cover this using the forestry account. So we're gonna have to switch up and utilize the conservation account to cover this expense.
Yeah, good point, Steve. I was thinking along those lines myself. And that's totally legit. That's part of what it's there for.
Yep, agreed.
Does
Well, I
that
think-
cause heartburn for anyone?
No,
Nope.
Good. All right, Jeremy, you need anything further? Is that sort of layout a way ahead?
Yeah, I know. I think I've got my marching orders, and I will, this will be an email, and I can see the where Concom on that inquiry to both surveying companies. There'll be separate inquiries because they're different
Starting points.
questions. So, but I will keep everybody in the loop, and once we get answers, you'll also have those too, and then we can regroup next month.
mhm.
Sounds good, and I don't think we have anything, we don't have a fuse burning on this one. It's something we don't want to drop and
Sure.
great to, keep the momentum going, but I don't think we have any reason to feel we need to, cut corners or rush things along because we're gonna run into a bad place in 2 months' time or something.
Yeah, no, it seems like a good objective strategy.
Great. Anything else for Jeremy?
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, just one other question. Steve, did Laura straighten out the invoicing as you requested?
Boy, that's a good question. Let me check.
You can send me a note too if you want, whatever works easiest.
Let's see. No, I mean, the last one I've got, actually, do we have? When I look at my email, the last one oh, wait, let me see, Wednesday.
I think you want to look at the email from Beth.
Well, no, I mean, the one I'm looking at and on the phone here, it does weird stuff with emails, but maybe, let me hang on. It's one of those ones where it's probably lumping the emails together. Let me see if it's, it says Wednesday. No, so I responded. I don't think I've got anything newer than Wednesday. I responded on May 5th. Oh, wait, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. see more, hang on. All right. It's doing weird stuff. Do you have one? Look, I'm getting back into my computer here, so let me, it's not working on my phone right. I don't know if I got one back or it's corrected. Let me try to jump on there now. I think finally came back to life for me.
We have three of them. Three of them that Beth sent along to us today, this afternoon, in an email.
Yeah, but they didn't have them, they were lumped together on the two different accounts. Let me see if those
Yeah.
are straight up last week, so they were not really usable, but if they're, let me see what these ones look like.
Yeah, you're right. These are mixing forestry funds and conservation on the same invoice.
Yeah, so we can't use those. So I had responded and asked that that be corrected on the 5th, and I didn't think I saw an email back on that, Chair.
Okay,
I'm digging down through, so like, it's gotta be, we gotta have them separated. Let me just double check here and make sure. And then ideally, like, Andy was kind of had a good suggestion if maybe we could just send along the FSAs that accompany the bills, but if not, we can go digging for them. But yeah, I don't think I ever got anything back. And we were trying to like get back to the actual invoice numbers themselves, actually, you know, correlating to like maybe the date and like forestry account or something. And, but yeah, they ended up like in the same invoice, multiple projects out of different accounts. So like, we can't really work with that very easily. So yeah, I don't think I got anything back after I responded to her. So if you could check on that and get them sent back, broken out by, you know, town forest account and conservation account. And then, you know, if you don't mind, just ask her to send along the FSAs. I'm thinking we probably look, you know, put those FSAs in that Google Drive eventually here, just so we've all got access. But yeah, I think they still need to get corrected. And then we can
Okay.
just get them approved. I mean, it doesn't take a meeting to approve them.
gotcha. Okay. Yep, I will, I'll follow up with LB and find out what's going on there, but it's just a matter of a process to clearly invoice separately the forest fund versus the conservation fund. And then within that, you're hoping to have unique invoice numbers that correlate to the funds and also the date. And then with that, you want a attachment of the appropriate FSA. Is that
That
right?
would, yeah, that would be really helpful. The last part of it would just help me and Andy out, because then we can just immediately get it paid without going digging around for the FSA. Yeah, and that's kind of how we were doing it before a while ago. Like we had, I mean, yeah, you know, if you use the date and then put like F after it for forest account, use the date, put C after it, and then just make sure that it's, like you said, only, you know, conservation projects would be in one with the C and the forest ones and the F ones.
Yep.
If there's any confusion, just give me a shout and try to help walk her through it with you.
Okay. No, I think I've got it.
Yeah, we were doing it a while ago, and then, yeah, we just, I think, you know, different personnel just kind of maybe didn't get it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeremy.
All righty.
Thanks, Jer.
Okay, guys. Thanks. See you next month. Have a great rest of the month of May.
Very good.
You
Thank you.
too.
Take care.
Yep.
See ya. Bye.
All right. Good to work through that with Jeremy. It's really good to have professional help, and very important relationship for what we do. Thank you, Steve, for lining that up and knowing what we're dealing with. I
Yeah,
just wanted to share this screen. Sent along earlier today from Beth. And just for everybody here, some of you probably never looked at one of these. So up at the top, what we have are, you look at the ending balance per month for it says Conservation Commission, that is the Conservation Fund. So in that, you see a little bit of revenue and a little bit of expense. Those expenses would be our forestry invoices from MTL. Revenue slowly generates when lots are sold that are part of, typically when lots are sold that are part of these conservation subdivisions. So a little bit of revenue, a little bit of expense, and a healthy balance. So we have about 290,000 in the conservation fund, and that's been that way for a good while. Now you look at the one below that, you have the town forest account. So our names are a little bit different than what you see on the spreadsheet there. You see it starting in January with a balance of about 300,000. This account has grown due to income from timber sales. And you see in March, a transfer out for the land purchase. So that makes good sense. And we see we're looking at about $150,000 in the town forest account. And those are very important monies to the business of the Conservation Commission in our role in the town, for the town. So just keep those numbers in mind. The third one down there, the unrestricted grant fund, you see there's about $450 there, and nothing much doing on that, but that's been John Champy's legacy. He was a longstanding Conservation Commission member when Steve and I joined up. He had the history going back into the 1980s on sort of how the conservation scene developed and various points along the way. And John worked for, at that time, Public Service of New Hampshire, and he was able to apply for, due to his volunteership, grant monies to support a good cause, and his good cause volunteer work was with the commission. So I don't know ultimately how many checks he gained for the town, but it was, I believe, $200 at a whack, and we still have a legacy here of $450 that we can, resources we can use as a conservation commission. And that last one is just lumped in with us and doesn't really apply to our business, but there are a few dollars from perhaps a gift to the Heritage Commission a while back that sit in an account in the town's name that was lumped in with our bunch of three. And actually at the top of this page, there's another one too that doesn't apply to our work, Agricultural Commission Fund. But interesting, and those second and third are very important to our work, and have done some very good things for the town, in my opinion. So with that, I will actually, any questions before I terminate the screen share? Okay. And remember, if you have a question and you're muted, I won't hear it. So we'll stop the screen share. And let's see, we've addressed 2 of the zoning and planning items. Let's see if we can work through some more of those. I can get myself onto the right screen now. Back to the agenda. I think I'll just ask a question. This is the 3rd item under planning and zoning board. We have the Langtots expedited site plan review. Application is for rehabilitating the parking lot to improve traffic circulation, pedestrian safety, parking layout, lighting, and associated drainage improvements. No change to buildings. Is there anybody in the commission who wants to jump into that one or share comments on it? If not, I'll just move right past it, but I'll pause for a second. Anybody?
No.
Speak now, wave a hand. All right, I'll say something, something it's, I guess, just fine to be aware of, but it looks like non-change as far as our work goes. Then on the 4th item, we have E&I at 55 B&B Lane. Site plan review and conditional use permit. Tax map 411 lot 197. Application is for the addition of 2 above ground liquid propane fuel storage tanks and a subsurface waste disposal system. Property is currently improved with a diesel fueling area and 2-bay mechanic shop, which will remain. It sounds like one that we've already looked at.
You looked at it conceptually when they came before the board. I think Kelly sent it to you when they came before the board conceptually. I think now they're back for a formal. They finished up a few things and now they're back for formal. So this is the same plan that you're looking at again.
As far as you know, Naomi, no significant deviation from the conceptual?
Not that I'm aware of, Andy, but I have not looked at it.
Understood. Well, all right, seeing as we're down in close to an aquifer protection area on the backside. Let's take a look at that one. Maybe I'll find it for a screen share.
I remember looking at this plan a couple months ago, and I'm looking at the new plan, and I don't notice anything changed. That's just my observation.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ray.
Andy, with that being right by the aquifer, I mean, it being a liquid gas, again, when it hits temperature, so there's really chance of spillage and stuff is not a big issue, I would say, right?
Correct. Yeah, that goes up, doesn't go down
Yeah.
at atmospheric pressure. It looks like the LNG tanks, or was it liquid propane? That goes in the front of the lot, and the diesel stays in the back.
Yeah.
Seems like the same plan, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be happy to move along from it. And energy. Energy North plans seem same as a conceptual. Therefore, no comment to the planning board. All right, enough of that. Let's,
Andy, for some reason, there is two things that got carried over which are not on there is Brittany Weeks and Town Wear. Those were on last month's.
right,
So what happens when you reuse forms?
so the point there is we're not looking at anything new on,
No, I'll
On
take
those
things
items.
off. Taking them off.
gotcha. Let's see, a letter from Collins Landing to Board of Direct, oh, right. All right. Now, let's see where this thing is. All right, dated April 17th, and sure, on the try to do a screen share on that. All right, dear Andrew, for my email dated March 2nd, I'm sending this letter as our formal notice for their records. Appreciate your cooperation as we explore possibility of leasing the small plot containing the sand structure on the corner of Russell Drive and Collins Landing Road. Upon review by attorney, he advised that a lease agreement of this nature would pose a risk to Collins Landing due to the easement in place. Reading down, we will be unable to lease the land to the Russell Drive Association based on the language in the easement. And Conservation Commission advised that the sand structure and truck will need to be removed from the easement. They confirmed that the sand structure was noted on the easement in the 2019 survey and that it's a violation of the deed. Board of Directors have agreed to allow the Russell Drive Association to remove the structure by June 15th. So, cool,
Yeah.
taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have that noted in the record of the meeting. And I think that's sort of case closed unless we have some other comments from the commission. Are we ready to move on from that one?
Yes.
Speak now or later when we meet again? Good. Okay,
The last part are just letters you've received from DES of things that are in different stages.
right. So noted for the record, we have correspondence from the Department of Environmental Services. A request for more information. MTL got an incomplete forestry by permit notification. Does anybody recognize tax map 202 lot 60? Did we get copies of that correspondence sent along?
You just
Yeah.
got the letters that we got. Yep,
There
I
we go.
attached them.
Yep, I see it now.
It was
thanks.
missing like a signature, and then he turned around and sent it back in, and then it was issued.
Okay, that's
It's
The
one of
same
their
one.
lands. It's one of their properties.
not town property.
No, not town property.
All right, yeah. That one wrapped itself up. Good. I'm looking at the last one dated April 29th to
Yeah,
Lehrer and
she's the one that was on the application. She was Brittany Weeks was representing their application.
right.
She evidently filed directly to the state for a expedited minimum wetlands application. She also has filled out an application to go to zoning.
All right, so that project moves along. What the department received, though, was correctly noted. There was no signature from the Conservation Commission, because there wasn't. That's good to note. So we did not waive our right to intervene on the project. The local river advisory committee did not sign. So the 30-day expedited review was not met. So it will move forward under the standard review. Which is what it should do. Okay. And Naomi, you said that Brittany did get on the agenda with the zoning board?
She filled an application out and it's on my desk. The last day it was, I don't remember the deadline. It was last week. To go to June for the wetlands buffer.
Yep, yep. And that was our recommendation, so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mission,
Accomplished. So far.
yeah.
Just one question or concern.
Go ahead, Steve.
The, so if I remember right, Brittany does not meet the state exemptions for certified wetland scientist, nor is she a certified wetland scientist. So the actual like determining what's involved with the buffer has never really been calculated by anyone who knows wetland science. So how does that move forward to ZBA without that? You know what I mean? That's, I don't know if we can send a note to ZBA, but I'm 99% sure that that was kind of, you know, asked her. So she's just like a landscape architect or something like that.
Yeah,
Which,
I
as far as I
have
know,
not
New
studied
Hampshire-
that plan, Steve. I don't, it's sitting on my desk. It
Yeah.
came in the last day. I don't know if there's a
Yeah.
stamp on it or who did it.
Right.
Because it
Well,
was
the one
just-
we saw didn't have anything on it.
So it's Steve, that pond doesn't have the same sort of, elevation, I guess, jurisdiction determination that Lake Horace does. So there's no way around a on-site, survey. Is that correct?
I can't really
Or-
speak to that. There is some sort of structure, but no one ever shows it on a map or anything, so I don't know what it really counts as.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's really described anywhere, I think the state does consider the pond raised slightly, but it's a piece of granite down there on the dam on the,
That's that up
north
on the
side
north
of the
end?
pond. Yeah, but I'm not really sure where
All right,
the
so
jurisdictional
you-
wetland.
You raised that question, and was Brittany's answer essentially, well, sort of, I can tell? Or is it,
I can't speak to that effectively as to, I
yeah,
don't remember exact answer, but the only fact, the fact would be that she's not a certified wetland scientist, nor does she, I don't think she meets the state's exceptions.
My question would be, when the zoning board's looking at it, are they also looking for the wetland stamp?
I doubt it.
So the buffer impact would be calculated from the wetland delineation plus the 25 feet.
Right. Well, as you know, we haven't been in the habit of, for lack of a better term, tipping off the zoning board to a concern. When we had a part-time land use coordinator, we did provide comments to the planning board. But, we typically don't review zoning items, although we caught some at, once or twice, some items that were going to zoning board. So that's a good point. If we're aware of something that we don't think's actually been delineated by wetland scientists, how can zoning apply our ordinance?
Are we allowed just to send them a note? I mean, it's that simple.
What do you think, Naomi? Is that something that's within our purview?
I mean, yeah, I don't see why not. It's public knowledge that she's applied.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Steve, you asked if stated there's no wetland soil scientist stamp on the plan, it may be required. Brittany stated one was not done, not wetlands crossing. So, I mean, I just told you that she applied.
I guess the other thing,
Because in
Is,
the bottom of the minutes, it says she would no longer expedite the process. She needs to go for a variance, and that's what she's doing.
right,
Right.
the other
So to
option we have
calculate-
is to reach out to Brittany to say, we understand you're going to zoning, but, how do you do that without delineating the wetlands on the property?
And I don't know that she hasn't hired someone, Andy. I haven't looked in the package.
Correct. Yeah, that's absolutely reasonable to note.
Thank you.
So
So don't-
Steve, I do think perhaps our better course of action is to probably better course of action is to go to Brittany with that, with just a comment. We understand that you're moving this forward to zoning. Please note our standard is that wetlands are delineated in order to apply the ordinance.
We're only an advisory committee, Andy, and so by the time, she can choose to ignore that, and the zoning board doesn't have knowledge of that, makes the decision. Versus just
Well,
advising the You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, well, here's the point, the distinction is we've, as best I can tell, never been advisory to the zoning board.
We just asked Naomi if we're allowed to, and we are. We're just providing comment.
Right,
Yeah,
because there isn't one, Andy, there is a section on each variance application that they let the applicant discuss it. Then there's approving abutters, disapproving abutters, and other boards or committees or commissions. So that would be, if you had a concern, I mean, I certainly can look at it, tell you if there's a stamp or not, and then you guys can, you know, address your concern or address your concern to me now, and I can share it with them at the same time.
yeah, well, that's, that is our concern. If we need to formalize it, we can formalize it with the vote, but our, at this point, informal concern is that, when folks are applying to a variance from a wetlands buffer ordinance, the expectation is that the wetlands have been delineated by an appropriate authority on wetlands.
With the major concern there being runoff, I believe they were bringing in 6 cubic feet of sand. So the concern to me would be runoff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm more approaching this just from a purely diligence and regulatory perspective, and that you either have a certified wetland scientist or someone who meets the exceptions in the state of New Hampshire, identify the boundary of the wetland, which then identifies the width of the buffer, I mean, the buffer location, and then the amount of buffer that's disturbed when seeking the variance is adequately described and documented on a plan that the zoning board approves. I personally don't have a big concern with the idea of what they're doing. I get it. I mean, their access is difficult at best, and I think they're kind of trying to do the right thing. I just think that this contractor is not really understanding the whole regulatory process.
right. Well, Naomi, how about, could we, could Steve, actually, I'll jump over to Steve. Steve, if you would just write that couple sentences up and pass it on to zoning through Naomi, I think we'd have it covered.
That
I
would
can do
work.
that.
Thank you.
I think that's a little bit of value added, not a big deal, but a little bit of value added, and that's part of why we're here. All right, anybody? Yes, we do have some meaningful business still ahead of us. But Steve, we have a non-public discussion. Do we have any other public discussion items for tonight from Steve or any of the other commissioners?
No,
All right.
So you make a motion, you go into non-public. Typically, you're gonna go in under C, RSA 91A -3 : Roman numeral. Yeah, I know what it is. I just can't off the top of my head. It's late. Under
Yes, it
C,
is.
under C.
All right, so we're gonna discuss potential land transaction A or some in a non-public session. So we need a motion to go non-public.
can we have a point of order discussion before we get into this? I think it's gonna come up.
Absolutely.
So I believe Andy, you may have the intention of recusing yourself from potentially a discussion. And so if we're in a non-public and Andy recuses himself, Naomi, I guess you'd be the best one to answer this. Can he still sit in the non-public, or does he need to leave and come back?
Recusing, I don't want to say too much. Recusing for, is there a potential
Conflict of interest? Yeah.
conflict? Yeah. I'm trying to be evasive a little bit, but I'm not
It's a,
sure, Steve. I mean, you're gonna talk about something that he's gonna recuse himself from, and then you're gonna talk about something else after, or is Andy gonna be excused for tonight? And you
well-
take over.
It would be this, I mean, I think there's two different things we need to discuss. The first one does not involve that issue. And the second one is purely up to Andy, but I think he mentioned he intended to do that to me. So it
why don't
involves
you- yeah, why don't, Steve, my suggestion, we've done this before, Sherry knows this. If we go into non-public and discuss whatever you're gonna discuss with the group, and then Andy could disappear from the next part of the discussion if that's easier than having him wait and come back. You see what I'm saying? Because we've had a lot of times when something gets brought up and one of our members leaves the room and doesn't come back. So we take care
Okay.
of the group stuff first, and then we take care of it as a group, and then if somebody needs to get out for whatever reason for the second discussion, that person signs off and goes.
Okay, do you need to come out of non-public and then go back into it, or do we need, can you
All
just
gonna
go
be
during
under
non-public?
C, which is reputation. If you're talking about other property, you're talking about individuals' properties probably. You're not talking
Yeah.
about a compensation or demotion or anything like that. That's A. B is hiring. C is, when you're talking about somebody's property and it's called reputation. So,
Yeah, I don't have that book in front of me with all we open up the,
those are the three we use. E is legal. E is more on legal. There's a whole
Yeah,
bunch more. They're up to like H now or something.
so do you remember the whole RSA that we need to recite? What the number is?
No, but I can put it in the minutes for you. 91A3 Roman numeral 2 small c.
I couldn't quite hear all that. 91A,
91A
yeah.
3 Roman numeral 2 small c.
Yeah. Small c. And then when we come out of it, we need to move to restrict the minutes, right?
So basically you would exit and then you seal and restrict. Is that what you're looking to do?
Yes. Yep.
Until something's, yeah, that's what you did before.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so then can Andy drop out in the middle of that?
Yeah, I would just make a note in the non-public part that he's excused himself. And then when we
Okay.
come out to adjourn, there's only going to be 5 of you left to adjourn, so you could just say, Chairman Fulton excused himself during the non-public, and that's all you gotta say. That's how you get down to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're ready
Okay.
to talk about it, you do your motion, and then you have to roll call vote, and then give me a second and I'll shut off the recording. And then you can still talk to each other, but nothing's recorded.
Okay,
Okay?
so Andy, you want me to make the motion?
That'd be good, Steve.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion under 91A : 3 Roman numeral 2 C to move to non-public.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll give that to Sherry. All right, and any further discussion on the non-public motion? There being none, I'll call the roll. Andy says yes. Sherry,
Yes,
Mark,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
All right, all in favor to go into non-public?
Yeah, hold